So today we're talking about growing your own sprouts. We've got mung beans, green peas. We have a mix that has clover and radish, alfalfa seeds, and fresh broccoli seeds in it. Come along on this video and I'm going to show you how to easily grow your beans and your sprouts to provide nutrients for your family. I am also going to show you 7-year-old beans and sprouts, if they grow or not. If you're not a prepper, I'm a prepper. That's why I do these videos, to show you things you can store in case something happens, that you can put beans and sprouts away for your family to grow fresh nutrients easily in your house without having to use a lot of water, without having to use your garden. Something nutritious that you can grow in your house that is simple and easy to do. So come along on this video. If you're not a prepper, I hope you enjoy the seed sprouting techniques, my ideas. And if you are preppers, think always seeds and beans are great. And I've shown you 7-year-old seeds and beans still sprout. Come along. Hello and welcome back to Obsessive Prepper AZ. Today I want to discuss, as preppers, another alternative to have in our food preps. And what I'm talking about is sprouting seeds, and why you want to have sprouting seeds for any kind of situation, be it a doomsday scenario, electrical, the grid's down, which we know in New York just recently that has happened. Venezuela is dealing with this right now, and why we should have certain seeds out in our preps for any kind of circumstance where we can't get fresh produce. And seeds are a great way, quick and easy, to have nutrients fresh for your family. Now, normally when I sprout my seeds, I use a half-gallon mason jar. This is the method I use. This is what's worked best for me. But I also wanted to show you another way to do sprouting, and this is my bucket here. Now with this bucket, I put this away in 2012 just for a doomsday kind of scenario. So I want you to come along with this journey with me to see how long we can store our seeds. See if 7-year-old seeds will actually sprout. Let me show you what's inside my bucket here. Now I have my seeding kit. I have mung beans, wheat berries, alfalfa, and alfalfa plus mix. So in this bucket, I had purchased this and I never used it. Like I said, I like to use my mason jars, but I thought this was a neat option for sprouting if you had limited water source and you couldn't use a lot of water. So this will drip from tray to tray. You still have to rinse, repeat, but you have less water. Your water ends up here. So I'm going to do seeds in this also, but I wanted to show you, I've never even used this, and I've had this now for 7 years. But I put things out of my preps, and I go back and, like my seeds that I've got in here, I do newer versions. So every couple of years, I think about purchasing more seeds and putting them away. But I wanted to show you what's in my bucket here. So I have mung beans that I have in my jars, and these are all 7 years old. These were put away 2012 and it is now 2019. I have my alfalfa plus mix. Again, I put the date on it, 11/12, alfalfa, clover, cabbage, and radish. And we also have our wheat berries. So I'm going to do the wheat berries and the alfalfa mix all in this, because if I put this away, I want to know for a fact that this is going to work and it's going to sprout. So you're going to come along on that journey with me. But I also want to show you my half-gallon method. Before I get to my half-gallon method, I want to show you something else that I do every couple years, and where I store them is in my refrigerator. You know, behind the shelf where everything falls behind, like little condiment packages, things like that, because there's that gap in your refrigerator. Well, I store seeds in my refrigerator. Now, this is a package again from March 2012 that I did, and I took all my GMO-free seeds and I individually wrapped them in a food saver bag. So there is no cross-contamination. Every one of them are in their own packages, and then I've sealed them in the food saver bag suck the oxygen out. And these store, because they're real thin, in that little space where everything falls in your refrigerator. So just to give you another idea of what I do for seeds. So I've got my seeds back in my refrigerator. Now the next thing I want to talk about is where I purchase my seeds. Now I like Sprout House seeds. I get them off of Amazon. I'll have them listed down below the links or in my Amazon store if you want to go there. But what I do is I purchase a 1 pound bag. This is a mix that has clover in it. It has the broccoli, radish, and alfalfa sprouts. And these are great seeds for like on your sandwiches. Fresh, throw them into your salads. Some different seeds, you have to try them to see if you like them. Some are bitter more than others, but I do like this mix of seeds. And when you go smaller seeds, they sprout faster. You don't have to use as many, so think about that when you go to put them in your jars and things, because you don't have to use as many seeds. So this is the one mix. And then I have my snow peas here and my mung beans. Now these both you want to soak in your jar for about 24 hours because they do take longer to sprout than those little seeds. But I like the mung beans and I like the peas because these I throw into stir fries. They're super yummy, super healthy for you. So if you have never seen a mung bean, mung beans are great. Now, so Sprout House, excellent source, organic, and these are the beans that I like. Okay, so this product here is made by Eve, and they gave me these sprout lids, and I actually really like them. And the reason why is they have these 3 little legs. So when you drain off, after you've let them rinse, repeat, after you drain them off, you can put them in a flat dish, turn them upside down, and you have them on stilts so that your air can get to them. So that's nice. You also want an even kill, so even if you were to put it in your dish, and I'll show you that also, having them off at an angle so air can get to them and drain. You don't want your seeds to mold. So that is why 2 times a day you need to rinse, repeat, because you do not want your seeds to go mold and grow bacteria. That's just not good for you. And these little lids are awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and get to sprouting. On a 1/2 gallon jar, I know I don't want to do any more than a 1/2 cup of seeds. And because I don't need a lot of seeds, and because I normally cook with the mung bean and the green peas, I'm going to go ahead and do a 1/4 cup each into my jar here. Whoop, one got away there. Let's find him. All right. So this is our first day, and all we're gonna do is, and another thing, I don't use sink water when I do my sprouts. I like to use my Berkey filtered water. And all I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm not gonna fill it up all the way because I don't need to waste that water, but I'm gonna fill it up about a 1/2 away. All right. So all we're going to do with our mung beans and our peas is we're going to let this sit until tomorrow, 24 hours. So I will also do pictures and let you show you the progress of what I'm doing here on my mung bean and my peas. So we don't want to put them in the direct light. So back here on my kitchen counter works great for me. Now on the Victorio seeding kit, it has the water well that catches all the water at the bottom. And it also comes with 4 trays. Now those 4 trays on the sides have drains, and what it'll do is when you pour the water at the top, it'll drain through all of them and it'll land in your base. Now on the base, give or take, it'll hold 2.5 cups of water. So make sure if you're using water not to overfill it, because then you're gonna have a problem at the bottom. And then once you drain them, then you get rid of that old water. Also on the sprouting kit, what's nice about it is if you're limited water, like I said, you're going through each tray utilizing the water versus the method over here where you're going to go through quite a bit more water. So it's strictly up to you of the source and how you want to do it. So also on our Victoria Sprout kit, it does send you a little package. This is just alfalfa seeds. So these are also 7 years old, a little over 7 years old, and we're going to go ahead and try these. This will be our top tray. Now in the kit's instructions, it says to put half a tablespoon of the seeds into the growing kit. It's going to go ahead and sprinkle in evenly across. Okay, so that's our first seed set, which is our alfalfa. Now the second set that I'm going to do, the second tray, and these are my 7-year-old seeds. Whoa, I have seeds everywhere that came out. Is I'm going to do 1.5 teaspoons of my mixture of seeds, and I'm just going to sprinkle those all over the place. Okay, and that is my alfalfa, clover, cabbage, and radish seed. Put that back in. The next set of seeds is the wheat berry seeds. Also do 1/2 tablespoon of wheat berries. All right. And lastly, I am not going to do the mung beans in this kit because I know that I need to pre-soak my mung beans. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in an individual jar so we can see if our 7-year-old seed. My bottom tray, I'm also going to do 1/2 tablespoon of my Sprout House seed mix. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. Bottom tray is my Sprout House mix. That's my newest of seeds. Then I have my wheat berries that are 7 years old. I have my alfalfa, clover, cabbage, and radish seeds. And at the top we have our Alfalfa Seeds by Victoria. That is also 7 years old. So now all we're going to do is we're going to put in 2 cups. I measured out the bottom tray holds about 2.5 cups. So anywhere between 2 and 2/4 that you can run through this. So I'm going to go ahead and get my filtered water. And we're just going to put this all over. All right. So this is slowly going to drain. Now they give you a lid. You can put the lid on just a little bit, like on a tilt. You just don't want to seal it because it's going to stop the drain. Also in the instructions, it tells you to rotate your trays. So with my mung beans that I was out of, I just ordered this, but I also ordered another neat item. And that is a sprouting kit. So a little under $15, I think that's what it was. I'll have to get the price for you. There's a survival garden, and it comes with all sorts, 32 different varieties of seeds. Now I read a lot of reviews on this. Some people say I can just do it myself like I do and put in my refrigerator, but I read so many reviews of this being an awesome, awesome deal. So I'm going to go ahead and put my date on this. And then I can either store them in my bucket. We'll find out if I can store them in my bucket when our seeds either sprout or not sprout, or I can put them in my refrigerator. So whatever works best for you. But if you stick with the video, we're going to find out if my 7-year-old seeds sprout or not. So here's our first tray. And in this, it really doesn't make a difference if you try to evenly disperse it or not. But you can see that it's dripping below. So here are mung beans after 14 hours. This jar of mung beans I just did. It's a 1/4 cup that I did not do yesterday when I started these, that I started today because I wanted to show you how much they swell. So this in this quart mason jar is a 1/4 cup of mung beans, and these are my 7-year-old mung beans. Now these are my fresh, brand new sweet peas and mung beans. And just to give you a difference of how much these have actually absorbed the water. Now on these mung beans, what we want to do is we want to take our beans and just drain the water completely out of them. And then we're going to rinse and repeat. So I'm going to add water in. You don't want any freestanding water. We're going to go ahead and take this, and I'm just going to put it in a dish like this at an angle. I'm going to have them evenly dispersed, and I'm going to just let it sit on the counter like this. You know, look at day 1. It's been 14 hours since we did this. Almost 28 hours the second night, and you can see some of the bean sprouts already starting to sprout. I see one there. So we are into our second day, 48 hours in, and this is my peas and my mung beans from Sprout House. So we're going to go ahead and rinse and repeat on this. All right, so we're going to go back and forth with it. And the reason why I'm doing that is I want to get the water mixed in all the way around all my beans. And we're going to go ahead and fill it up again. Whoops. And we're going to go back and forth. Gently just kind of toss them around a little bit. And I'm going to drain these completely. My mung beans are really growing. The sweet peas are taking a little bit longer than my mung beans. All right, and then all I'm going to do with this is just kind of evenly disperse them, And then I'm going to put them back in my container. Now these are my mung beans that were 7 years old, and you can see that they're starting to change. So it's nice to know that our 7-year-old beans that are stored in the mason jars airtight, 78 to 80 degrees for 7 years, are growing. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse these. And I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm just going to evenly disperse these, and we're going to stick them inside our bowl. It's there. Now this is my second tray. You can see they're all growing well. Tray 1. Tray 4. And this is our wheat berries, and I only see one sprout. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's only a few sprouts that have come in on the wheat berries. So the wheat berries are definitely taking longer. Maybe I should have soaked these for 24 hours. All I'm gonna do is get 2 cups more water, and we're gonna put it in our Victorio sprouting kit. 2.5 days into our growing, give or take 60 hours, and this is our mung beans and our sweet peas. I'm not real happy with the sweet peas right now, but we'll see if they keep growing or not. We're going to rinse, repeat again. Our 7-day mung beans. And we're going to go ahead and rinse and repeat twice on this. I'm going to try to evenly disperse them along the floor of the side of the jar, and do the same with my half-gallon size. And I'm going to scoot them back over here, and then we're going to work on our Victorio sprout kit. All right, got tray 4. Our wheat berry sprouts are sprouting a little bit more. All right, there we go. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to run 2 cups of water through this mixture. So we are now on 72 hours. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my bean sprouts one more time, and tomorrow morning I'm going to go ahead and harvest them. Now these are my mung beans, and I purchased these 7 years ago. I put them in a mason jar, used my food saver, sucked the oxygen out of them, and they're growing perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse, repeat 2 times on these. All right, doing well. Put this in here, and we're going to work on our Victorio seeds. Tray 4. Bean sprouts are still, oh, these are the wheats. These are the wheat berries. They're growing, but they're not at the rate of what I would like them to grow. So I think I'm going to do another video of soaking them and seeing if they turn out a little bit better by soaking them. That's our tray 3. Our tray 1, doing real well. And this is our tray 2. And I'm just going to add 2 more cups of water to this. So we're almost day 4, in between 3.5 days and 4 days of my sprouting. And I want to discuss the Victorio seeding kit. Now, I have a couple concerns about it. It does work, but there are some issues of the water not draining completely once the seeds start growing. And the alfalfa, I just actually poured off. Now this is the 7-year-old alfalfa seeds. And this was the half a tablespoon, give or take a teaspoon and a half, of seeds that have grown into sprouts. So I'm gonna show you how to harvest all this once I get through this. Now this is my 7-year-old alfalfa, clover, cabbage, and radish seed. Not as successful as our alfalfa seeds. They still did harvest quite a bit. In my 3rd container is the wheat berries. I don't know if you can see those. Not doing so well. So I'm gonna still let this grow in this one container, but I've got something else I'm gonna show you on the wheat berries. And this is the 7-year-old wheat berries. And this is my sprout house seeds. Now the one concern I have with the Victorio is that once the seeds start growing, they're not draining. It's not, so if you can see here, hopefully I don't pour any out. Do you see that liquid pouring out? You don't want freestanding water. And once they start growing, they're not draining completely. So the only thing I suggest is once it drains, go back, check on it. And if you need to, go ahead and pull some of the water out. That's what you should do. But this is my sprout house, and you can see how long and healthy my seeds are. These are the fresh seeds. Same quantity. So this is my sprout house. So this is my alfalfa seeds, 7 years, tray 1, and I'm actually happy with the alfalfa seeds, 7 years old. And again, this is the mix, not as successful. Not sure what didn't grow, but this is a 7-year-old mix, but still it grew. On the sprout house seeds and the 7-year-old mix seeds, I went ahead and did it mason jar style last night. So I went ahead and I started a new seed system in the mason jars. And this is 1/8 of a cup here of my, let's see, old mix, the 7-year mix. I want to see if they grow any better than what I did in the Victorio. And then also I did my sprout house seeds here in the mason jar. And we're going to see if the mason jar grows better than the kit here. So that's what I've got going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what grows in my mason jars of the 7-year-old alfalfa, clover, radish, and cabbage seed, and then my sprout house seeds, and see if I have any different significant growing patterns than the Victorio. So I'll have that at the end of the video. I also went ahead last night and I've soaked my wheat berries, and I'm letting those, you've got, see quite a bit of bubbles going on in here. So I'm gonna soak these tonight, I'm gonna drain it, and I'm gonna do the same with my seeds. I'm gonna grow it in a mason jar and see if there's any change, because this is not successful to me. This is a failure as far as I'm concerned. So we're gonna do that. Alrighty, next thing that we did was, this is the sprout house seeds. Obviously, awesome. This was 1/2 cup of sprout house seeds. I also did my 7-year-old mung beans. And again, 7-year-old seeds, I'm saying we've got a win-win situation with mung beans. So definitely mung beans are awesome for a long term. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to harvest your seeds and what we're gonna do with them. All right, so I went ahead and filled this up with filtered water, and I'm just going to rinse them one more time before I pour them into my dish here. Just to give them a good rinse. And now what I'm gonna do is just pour them into some my purified water, because I wanna be able to rinse them and get all the casings out of here. This 1/2 cup of It was basically a 1/4 cup of sweet peas and mung beans. Grew like crazy. Great success, which I already know because I do this all the time, but I've never compared it to the other seeds. All right, got my jar empty, get it out of the way here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna filter all this water into them. We're gonna give them a good rinse. And then as you do this, you're gonna see a lot of the pods, the shell casings. And again, like I had said, if you cook them in stir fry, it's gonna fry up. You're not gonna be so worried about it. Get these off to the side and show you what I'm talking about here. So I piled this up here. Try to get all my sprouts out of the way, and this is gonna be a little bit of a process. And all I'm gonna do is go in my strainer here, and I'm just gonna scoop up all these casings. So this is the outside, so these are the outside seed shells. So we're just gonna get rid of those. You can see them floating up, whatever works, your hands. And then once I get this side pretty well cleaned up, then I'll switch my sprouts over to the other side and then do the other side. A lot of them will float up to the top. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and switch this over to the other side. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of all the casings. Here's my Berkey bag, so I get to them. Like fishing for little casings. I feel like I'm cleaning my pool right now. All the leaves that get in your pool. Just by stirring up the water a little bit, we'll bring those up. And I'm going to put it inside this bowl. And I've got paper towel. And I'm just going to now just try to get all the excess moisture off of them. And that is it. Once I get the moisture completely off of them, I'll put them in a container with some paper towel at the bottom. So now I've got them pretty well dried off. I'm going to put them in a container here, and I can now put them in my refrigerator and use them for cooking. So yes, a little time consuming to do this process, but in the long run, having fresh greens works out great. Also, I'm going to show you real quick the alfalfa sprouts here. So I'm going to go, you can see there's quite a bit still left in. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same process with my alfalfa sprout. I don't obviously have to use as much water. And I'm just going to simply rinse these off. There is a lot of seeds on the alfalfa sprouts that did not seed or didn't sprout. In this, I'm just going to, because the seeds are so much heavier than our sprouts, I'm going to pile my sprouts up over here on this corner. I'm going to get rid of this water. And I'm going to go ahead and put some more water in. And do the same to it. Now typically I don't grow this many sprouts at one time. I did for the video, so I'm using a lot more water. Now if you don't care about sink water or filtered water, whatever, you know, go by all means use your sink water. I'm not telling you to do it or not. I just think if you're going to go to this extra effort, and especially if there's a situation where you have crap water, just to give you an idea of how much water actually takes to seed. So if you're going to plant, so I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side. Our 7-year-old mung beans. Okay, so this is our 1/4 cup of our mung beans that are 7 years old. So this is our yield from our 1.5 teaspoons or 1/2 tablespoon of our 7-year-old alfalfa, clover, radish, and cabbage seed. And then I'll do at the very end, I'll show you the difference. Now in that, this is what was left over in that container. I didn't pick all these small pieces out, but this is pretty much what was left over for the seeds and the seed casings. So this is my yield from my Sprout House seeds, and it is the clover, the radish, broccoli, and alfalfa. And I'm going to go ahead, like I said, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you in comparison. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was long, but I wanted to kind of give you this whole scenario. If do we want to store seeds, beans in our preps, if they sprout, and how do they sprout. So this was my Sprout House fresh 1/4 cup sweet peas and mung beans. Give you a look at it. The yield is awesome. The sweet peas, you get this green to it. Very nice yield. So now going to my plate here, this is our 7-year-old mung beans. And not a whole lot of green to them, a little bit, but just to show you that they do have a yield, mung beans would be great to put out in your preps. Mung beans and sweet peas are awesome for stir fries. So just for that alone, if you want to grow your own, our 7-year-old alfalfa sprout that Victorio gave us, and it was 1.5 teaspoons of seeds, but we had a decent yield. Now this is my Sprout House seeds, and you can see again the difference in the green, but then there's also broccoli mixed into this seed kit that this one doesn't have. And this is my 7-year-old alfalfa, clover, cabbage and radish mix. But again, and there's still green in there. So definitely it's one of those things, again, for food preps, out in your food prep storage. Okay, so now going back to the Victorio kit, I'm not gonna say I hate it. I think out in our preps in my bucket, like I said, not for an everyday because it doesn't work as much. You don't get as big of yield as using a mason jar, but you definitely use much less water in something like this because you know you're using 2 cups of water for 4 trays, which is great. The only thing I didn't care for is the standing water. But if you're aware that there may be standing water, once it's drained, then all you've got to do is drain that standing water out. Not much of an issue, and especially in an SHTF situation where you wanted fresh greens. Always faithful is these little mesh lids. This again is by Eve. The mason jar method always works great. Your yield is awesome, but you're definitely using more water. So here's our yield. It's great. Great for preppers. Put some beans and seeds up. I love the mung beans. I love the green peas. Obviously, mung beans are going to grow. They put out a big amount, bang for your buck. The nutrients in it are also awesome. These little sprout kits work great. So whatever seeds you want, it's nice to know that our 7-year-old alfalfa and our 7-year-old mix worked well, grew well. Don't forget, I've got my sprouting over here in the mason jars from that 7-year-old seed mix, and also my sprout house seed mix, and the wheat berries in the mason jars. So if you want to watch that, watch it to the end of the video. I will do a speed lapse on that so you can see how that turns out. I hope you enjoyed this video. You've got fresh nutrients for your preps. Put your seeds. Really think about things like this because in an SHTF situation, you're going to need healthy ingredients, fresh ingredients, not just all that processed stuff that we put out on our preps. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe. And if you want to be notified for future videos, ring the bell. Have a blessed day. So I wanted to show you real quickly. These are our seeds that we did in our Victorio sprouting seed kit, the one that's stacked. And here is my wheat berries here. This is my sprout house mix, and this is my 7-year-old seed. Now the 7-year-old seeds turned out great. The return that we got from 1/8 of a cup of seeds is real nice. So I'm going to have to go ahead and rinse these like you saw in the video. But I think in the mason jars, by far, is your best way to do your sprouting. The Victorio works great if you do not have a lot of water. But obviously, our return is much greater by doing it in the mason jar. This is our sprout house seeds, which is the alfalfa, radish, clover, and broccoli. And this was a 1/4 cup. This is a quart-sized jar. And you can see we're pretty well grown and full in here. So I've got to rinse these. Now the only thing that did not work out, these have been growing the same rate as these others back here, and this is our wheat berries. And you can see I'm going to go ahead and let these grow, but my suggestion is for a long-term food storage, wanting to grow quickly, don't store anything like a wheat berry. So, but this was all just a trial and error for me. I'm glad that I tried this and to grow them 7 years later, because I know now that my wheat berries are not something that I want to have in my long-term storage of seeds. So my conclusion on the Victorio seeding kit, yes, this is a great thing to have in your 5-gallon bucket. If you had little amounts of water, you could still grow decent amounts of seeds in a short, quick period of time. The only problem was the holes would get clogged and we have to drain the water off because you do not want your seeds sitting in standing water. But for like a lack of water, this works great. I'm happy that I did this because I did learn a few things. My seeds, my wheat berries didn't grow at the rate that I wanted them to, so I'll find another seed to replace the wheat berries. But this was great to know that it does grow in the Victoria seeding kit, but they work out great in the mason jar if you have a lot of water. So another thing that I also do is every time I go pick up eggs and I have these fiber cartons, I save them. I've got a stack of them out in my preps. And that way all the seeds that we're storing, whatever way you're storing them, your survival seeds, then if you need to sprout your seeds and start them indoors, you've got something to start with. I just wanted to give you another little tip of something to put out in your preps.